Good morning to everyone that's starting to attend the webinar. My name is Nuno, so I'll be the host for the webinar today. We'll wait a couple of minutes just for people to start entering, and we'll start the webinar in a couple of minutes. Okay. In the meantime, please take a look at the slide that's already shared with you, so that you can look on how to interact with us during the webinar. Okay. Hello again. My name is Nuno Grosso. I'll be the host for the second public release NextLand webinar. So we had the first last week, and now we'll have a similar setup to present to you the current status of the online store and how can you use it and how can you interact with us. So I'll kickstart the webinar by showing you a few rules. So basically, if you have any questions, please use the Q&A. You'll have the Q&A option on the menu below in Zoom. Or if you have any technical issues, please contact us via the chat. So during this webinar, we'll have four different presentations in the QA section. We'll start by presenting an overview of the online store, the services within the next online store by David Perez from Demos. Then NextLand, how can it support your business? So a bit more the business perspective of NextLand. That's given by Sebastian Borde from Nova SPE. We have a demo then of the online store, again by David Perez from Demos, and we'll showcase a use case of a user, in this case Jim Wilson from Soil Essentials, that's already using NextLand products and services in use cases directly related with their operational activities. So we'll have Jim presenting that for agriculture, and we'll open up to the Q&A session. So we'll kickstart things with a poll to better understand our audience. I'll launch the poll. I hope you can see it in your screen right now. So I will give you a couple, 1 minute or two to fill it in, if that's the case. So this is just to understand a bit what's on the other side. We won't dwell on it. But it's a good characterization of everyone attending the webinar. So we'll give you a bit of time to reply. I see that there are still people that are attending and did not reply, so I'll wait a bit more. Okay, then. Ending the poll, and we'll pass it after this poll. Thanks for participating. We'll pass it around to David Perez from Demos for an overview of the NextLand online store and services. David.
Hello. Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for attending this webinar. And welcome to this session titled the NextLand Online Store and Services. My name is David Perez. I am head of sales, partnerships, and customer care for Demos Engineering, one of the entities taking part in the NextLand project. So in this session, we are happy to announce the public release of the NextLand online store. The online store is the phase of a project that has been some time in the making, and we are very excited to share this reality with you. In the next few minutes, what I will do is explain what the NextLand project is, what role the online store has, and we will actually have a look at how it works in a demo. But in order to understand a little bit what is the motivation behind NextLand and what role we think that the online store is, let's go for a sobering thought. Let me see if I can gain control of my own presentation. Okay, so here we are. If you follow the news, today marks the moment where the Earth has reached the landmark of 8 billion people on the planet. Within my lifetime, I remember to have passed the 6 billion mark, and I didn't even see the 7 billion mark pass by. So you can imagine what an enormous challenge it is to feed all of these mouths, while at the same time we make sure that still we have a planet to live in. So this is just one example, the latest one, that those of us who make a living out of the use of the land face very serious challenges. COVID and war have disrupted supply chains and brought about an energy crisis that in turn has produced an inflation crisis. Surely you are experiencing firsthand increasingly extreme weather conditions, and well, problems seem to pile up and don't seem to stop. And yet, in the middle of all of this, we are expected to make a profit, or at least stay afloat, produce more and with more quality, and on top of that, preserve an environment that's already pushed beyond its limits. So you'd be excused to wonder how on earth we are supposed to achieve all of that. Well, technology can do magic, but it can give us a chance. 10,000 years ago, the agricultural revolution allowed us to consistently feed an exponentially growing population, improve our living conditions, and achieve unprecedented life expectancy levels. So our position is that the next level of technology that we can resort to is space observation. the use of satellite imaging to capture information remotely about our environment and apply it intelligently to achieve unprecedented results. If you don't mind, we will pause for a minute here to ask you about your familiarity with Earth observation tools. Now the poll has already popped up. And we will wait 1 minute for you to let us know if you are familiar with this technology or not. Okay, that was a quick one. So yeah, the challenge, especially for us technology providers, is to bring the space technology to the ground where our crops and our forests grow. The answer for us is through NextLand. NextLand is a project that seeks to deliver next generation land management services for agriculture and forestry. What is it? What is NextLand? NextLand is an alliance of institutions that have come together to provide services based on Earth observation technology. With commercial support from the Nova School of Business and Economics, 5 high technology providers, TerraDue, Fito, Deimos, Van der Sar Planet, and DHI Grass, have partnered with industry users, Soil Essentials, BDB, SURF, SNT, and EFI in a co-design initiative that has resulted in services that help improve key areas for the farming and the forestry industry, accessible through a single platform, which is the online store that we are presenting to you today. As mentioned before, these services are the result of processing imagery that comes from satellites. They provide highly accurate information at the request of the user for a specific area and time of interest. This information is collected quickly, easily, and much more cheaply than the traditional alternative of direct observation. Now, the services that the consortium has come up with fall into 3 categories. Pure farming, which are the 4 on the left-hand side. Pure forestry, which are the 5 on the right-hand side. And services common to both areas of interest, the 5 in the middle. Each individual service has a purpose and achieves a result, but their combined result can be much more powerful when you combine different services in what we call, in the bundles that we call user scenarios that we have named the way you see on screen. Sorry about that. Improved crop monitoring and yield prediction, support to irrigation. The ones on the left-hand side and the top, the one on the top of the middle are related to agriculture, whereas forest health, fire impact, and risk assessment, the 5 on the right-hand side have to do with forestry. There is information available for each of these user scenarios that we will be sharing with you. In the next few minutes, we will talk about the business value of the NextLand project. I will leave the floor to Sebastian on the part of the Universidad Nova for that. We will have a valuable testimonial on how to use this technology to improve results on the field on the part of Jim, who will be representing Soil Essentials. But before that, I will showcase how to use the NextLand online store. In the meantime, I encourage you to visit the online store at this URL or scanning the QR on your screen. If you allow me 1 minute, I will give you a quick tour of the shop. We will then leave the floor to Sep from Nova SB University. But just for 2 minutes, let me introduce you to the NextLand online store by clicking on this link. I'm opening the browser, and there we go. This is the online store. As you will see, signing in is mandatory for some things, but not all of them. So when you first visit the store, you will see the homepage. It will give you the possibility to get in touch with us, either for a full demo, in case you need something tailored to your needs, or just a request for information by clicking on getting in touch, which will basically lead you to the support page that will allow you to give us your information for contact, so that a commercial representative will get in touch with you. You have general information about the project and the services. You have a description of each individual use scenario that we mentioned before. You will have the unparalleled pleasure of watching our esteemed colleague, Nuno Grosso, who's acting as Master of Ceremonies for this session, in a short video explaining the use and values of the online store. Well, I'm not going to play it, Nuno, don't worry. You have information about each individual service in this section here, and a section devoted to some customer feedback, some user testimonials explaining the value of the services and the online store for these users. Again, we encourage you to visit the store, to take a look at or to request a demo or request further information, and take a look and browse the collection of services available through the store. I will leave the floor to my colleagues in Universidad de Nova SBE, and then I will take the floor again to showcase how to place an order and get the results from these services. So back to you, Nuno. Thank you very much.
Thanks, David. So, like David said, I'm going to share the presentation again. And we'll have now a third poll, now that you understand a bit the scope of the online store, the services that we provide. We open a third poll to understand a bit what you are looking for. So please, the poll is open now. You can start answering, so that we can understand if you are in this webinar more as a service provider or more as someone that wants access to the services. We already have a good chunk of the participants answering, and so far we have an even split between the four different options. Actually, only 3 of the options have, so people are a bit split between wanting to access agriculture, access forestry, or offer EU-based services for forestry. Yeah, Evelyn is now ending the poll. And we'll proceed now, as David said, with the presentation by Sebastian, where we're going to focus a bit more on the business part and give you some useful information on how you can do business with NextLand. So I'll
yes,
give you
perfect.
control.
Thank you so much, Nuno. And hello and welcome to everyone again, also from my part. Good afternoon or good evening, depending from where you are watching this. My name is Sebastian, and I work for the Nova School of Business and Economics in Portugal, and I work as a business developer for NextLand. So in these next few minutes, I'm going to talk and showcase a little bit how NextLand can support your business, so both in agriculture and forestry. So let me see if this control works. Yes, I think so. Okay, so the central idea of NextLand is really to establish an ecosystem of users and service providers. And I'm very glad to hear, based on the poll result, that we have both EO service providers as well as users of EO services in the attendees. And as you can see on the slide here, of course, we have these groups, so to say, with each their individual needs and requirements. However, we believe that NextLand is really a good middle ground and is able to satisfy all of these needs in one single store. So what's our vision? So our vision, of course, is to be the most customer-centric online store available and offer a variety of EO services in both agriculture and forestry, also a mix of the two, which have a real impact for agriculture and forestry businesses. And we do this by allowing a wide range of our users to access, view, and compare these Earth observation services in one store. And of course, as was already mentioned by David, this store will offer high quality, both individual or bundled services, all that were developed through a partnership and a co-creation process with expert organizations all across Europe. So what's in it for our customers? So what is the value we offer to them? So of course, for once, we have the technical aspects of the services. So we provide high accuracy, up-to-date, and rapidly on-demand available data services, which can be bought individually or bundled according to the user scenarios already presented. And with these services, we target a broad range of organizations in agriculture and forestry. And these organizations, by using our services, can then reduce, for example, the time and money they spend on in situ sampling, which is, of course, very labor and resource intense. Or if we put ourselves in the shoes of, let's say, a value-added service provider, a consulting company, for example, NextLand services also help them to reduce their own response time, so to act faster on clients' requests, therefore improving the service quality to their end users, and of course improve or increase the overall organizational efficiency as a whole. And last but not least, this is of course also a very important aspect here. Our services are competitively and transparently priced. And since I already mentioned transparency, I'm going to advance by one slide and show you this pricing table. So this is public information as of now, so you're free to take a screenshot if you want to. This is a good estimate of what you can expect in terms of the annual subscription prices per hectare. Of course, this is not written in stone and will be a bit dependent on the individual service provider, but I think it's a good estimate on of what to expect. So as you can see, there's the services for agriculture, for forestry applications, and then the one which can be applied in both fields at the same time. Okay, so we talked about the value for our users, or our customers. Now, why would service providers offer their services on the NextLand or in the NextLand online store? So for once, I think it's a very unique chance to engage with a community of well-known and leading European Earth observation service providers, which then, of course, leads to a increased brand visibility and maybe a better brand reputation as well as accessing a whole new sales channel through the online store. And because the online store has a broad reach, of course, you will be able to target and acquire customers all around the globe. In terms of operational efficiency, this will also simplify, let's say, sales or financial tasks, since there's only one contact point with the customer, which is through the online store. And additionally, overall lower costs when it comes to developing of new services, the operations of the services and their commercializations will also benefit from cost savings and increased efficiency. We also have implemented a revenue sharing model, which just means that a certain percentage of the revenues generated through the online store will be shared amongst all of the service providers offering their services there. So even one more reason to join the store as a service provider. Okay, so I think it's obvious that through NextLand services, organizations can benefit from cost savings or increased productivity. However, The profit bottom line is, of course, only the traditional one, and the NextLand seeks to address sustainability in the 3 dimensions of the word. So also considering the environment and societal impact. And when it comes to planet, I think it's obvious that by using NextLand services, farmers, they can, of course, reduce their environmental impact in, let's say, farmers and foresters due to their daily operations. And let's say the public authorities or governmental institutions may be able to monitor and prevent unsustainable practices in these primary industries way more efficiently. And I think David also mentioned it already. So today the big news was that the world population has surpassed the 8 billion milestone. And I think this is a very good reason, or now or never is the time to find a way to sustainably feed a ever-growing population. And of course, also to make Earth observation technology accessible to organizations and individuals all around the globe. And speaking of organizations all around the globe, so here's a selection of the organizations that were involved in testing the NextLand services over the last years, and giving, of course, valuable feedback in the co-creation process for all of the 15 services. And as you can see, there's quite a broad range of user types here. So starting at the top with the EO downstream markets, which consists of, for example, value-added service providers as well as consultants, and then also end users with tech know-how, both in forestry and agriculture, for example, associations, public institutions, companies with R&D capabilities, or NGOs and R&D organizations. Now, what do these organizations say about the NextLand services and the online store? So here's a sample of some of the testimonials we have received from 4 of our testers. And what we noted kind of the highlights here. So what was the most important aspect to them? So for example, NextLand services have helped them greatly reduce the in situ sampling, which is of course a time-consuming task, as well as allowed to have very continuous data updates throughout all of the year on areas of interest, which of course also can be challenging if you have to send someone out in the field every few months to retrieve some data for that area. In terms of the value-added service providers or the consulting companies, they noted that they have significantly lowered their own response time to clients' requests and also decreased their own cost of service on their side. And at the very bottom with Arbonaut, you can also note that in some cases, they were even able to minimize the need to develop in-house solutions themselves, as the portfolio of NextLand services is broad enough to have as an offer for every need available. And of course, it is customizable to the individual requirements. So negating the fact to develop anything themselves. Now, speaking about the online store as a whole, it was noted that the API is, or the store's API allows them to feed their own models with satellite data easily. Of course, it's also a kind of unique collaboration of European service providers in one single place, offering different services in one store. And accessing and implementing these services and the EO data coming out of these services into daily business has been easy enough for our users. And last but not least, of course, with the collaboration of various service providers, there's also a large variety of EO services available, which just makes it, I think, convenient to have a good overview in one single place on what's currently available, what are the recent developments in this area, and maybe finding new services that perfectly fit your need right off the bat. So that's it in terms of the user testimonials. We'll also hear another one from Jim Wilson from Soil Essentials in a few moments. But as of now, I hope I could spark your interest in using NextLand services for your business. And I would also take the opportunity to invite you to our NextLand physical event, which is happening on 25th of May 2023 at the beautiful Nova campus in Portugal. So if you want to know more about these services or also just connect and network with some of the partners from our consortium, you're very welcome to join this event next year, and I hope to see you then. So for now, I will pass to Nuno again. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Sebastian. It's indeed a very beautiful campus, and it's indeed a very good opportunity to link up with NextLand partners and NextLand community. So please take advantage of this event and join us in May for the VCW Summit on Value Creation Sustainability conference. Thanks, Sebastian. Indeed, we have now we are going now to the demo of the online store, and I'll stop sharing and give the control to David Perez. That's going to give a full demo of the online store.
Okay, this is me. Okay, thank you. Welcome again. This is the time where I will play around a little bit with the online store, just so that you have a sense of how easy it is to place an order and to play around. Let me see if I can hide these. Okay, these controls that are in the way. Okay. Now, like I said before, we've already visited the store. The point that I would like to make is that I did not log in to the platform before, so we only saw a little bit what the general contents are, and we can actually even take a look at the services. Okay, and play around with the services. But depending on how you log in, you will be able to do some things or others. So when you click on sign in, the first thing is to identify yourself, whether you are going to be, if you're going to become a user of the platform. You can leverage social media login or a federated login if in case you're using, for example, Koi from ISA. But in case you don't have a user, the process of registering is as easy as clicking on register and selecting your user, your name. Oops. Well, actually, you need to fill it all up. I'm not going to give you my details if you don't mind. The fact of the matter is that you will need to agree to the privacy policy terms of service of the online store, and once you do that, you can create your user and go back to the login session. Okay, let me see. Let me then go back to my own place. Okay, so as I was saying, depending on your profile, you can be either a service provider, basically a seller, or an end user, a buyer. So if I register, or if I log in with the profile of a seller, my contents are going to be slightly different to the ones of a buyer. So as a seller, I can register my services, register a new service, and publish it in the online store. So you need to fill in some technical information and some commercial information, such as price model or etc., and some legal information as terms of use for the end user, etc. Once you register your service, it will need some validation and some support on the part of the technical teams. You will be able to see your services and manage them, and then your services will appear in the general catalog of services. We will now sign out as a seller and sign in again, but this time as a buyer. When you do that, you realize how you only have services, orders, and support links instead of the possibility to register and manage your own services. So for the end customers, for the end users, what is it like? What is the experience like of placing an order? This is what we are going to explore right now. So if you go to services, you will see a bunch of services. It's not only the 15 we've already mentioned before. 15 are the, let's say, theoretical number of services. In fact, we have split a few of them relating to nuances, different aspects that they have. So all in all, I think right now we are at the count of 24. I have to say that we are increasingly and little by little adding new bundles that represent the user scenarios that I mentioned at the beginning of the in the presentation part of the speech. So you can actually bundle these services together. You can do it either on a one-on-one basis, but we are working to make more and more bundles instantly available through one single click instead of going through several purchases. For when there are many services, you can focus your interests by using the filter and getting specific results for your search. In our case, we are interested in looking for crop-related services. And in this case, there are several of them that relate to farming needs, therefore crops. We have water stress, we have vegetation indices, crops are. I would like to focus our attention in this service because this one is going to be used by Jim from Soil Essentials in the presentation that he will, the contribution testimonial that he will have a bit later on in a few minutes. So I'm going to concentrate on this one. What the vegetation indices crops are service is, what it does, what gains it represents, can be either transmitted by me or it can be found online, either in the description instructions place of the service, or even a more extended, not much, but a more extended link that will take you to a fact sheet, a product sheet that will give you technical information and business information about the service. Sorry about that. Okay, now in order to place the order, what we have is this panel on the left-hand side telling me, in the first place, what instructions I should know in order to place my order, and then the order form itself. More or less, all services follow the same logic. The first one is to choose what is your area of interest. In this case, the whole world is available for us to place an order. Some services have been created for specific areas, and these areas might, or your specific needs might not fit those areas. In that case, we encourage you to get in touch and see how we can adapt those services to your specific needs. So you would need a personalized quotation. Like I said, the first thing to do is to define what is the area of interest. So I will drill down in my map to find a place where I will apply my algorithm. And then I will choose a time of interest. That is the period of time where I will devote my analysis. So in my case, it's going to be sometime in the last week of June 2019. So that should be July. Okay. Different services have different options, output formats, aggregation parameters, etc. In our case, the distinctions between FAPAR and FC-cover, and we are going to use FAPAR. I have to say that right now, because these are basically the first times that we are showing the online store to the general public. Service appears as a free service. That means that that the price structure hasn't been automatized yet. So what's going to happen is that by the end of this month, when we place an order, when we choose a time and a place and an area of interest, this field here will give you the total amount of what the price, the total price of the service that you are requesting. Once you do that, all you need to do is place the order. When you place the order, you will get an on-screen confirmation of the order that you've placed, confirming, giving you an ID so that you have no doubt that you have placed an order. Because this is, like I said, early days in the online store, this is not going to be automatic so that you automatically get the result. We are going to test it out little by little so that we make sure that everything goes according to plan. What's going to happen right now is that as you place your order, somebody, and that somebody, let me assure you, is going to be me, will receive that request for the order. Not only me, I will be aware. Like I mentioned before, I'm head of sales here at Demos. I will get this request and I will know that somebody has placed an order. But this request will also go to the technical teams that will make sure that your quotation, that your order makes sense, is consistent, and will be attended to. So once we get that order, you will get the on-screen confirmation, and you will get an email confirmation with the parameters of the transaction. We, on the technical side, will make sure that your parameters are valid, and we will create a quotation for you that we will send via email. You will get a request for confirmation together with the final price. And then you will have some time, I was going to say all the time in the world, you will have some time to make a bank transfer and confirm the order and pay for it. Once we make sure that everything's correct and payment has been made, the order will be resumed. And what happens next is that you go to your area in your portal, in your online store area, and you will get a list of all the services, all the orders that you have placed now or in the past. Right now, the one that I just created appears as created, and it lags still. The order has been created. It needs to be processed. It needs to be validated. Any other ones that you have created in the past will appear here. Some of them, when they are finished, will give you the results. Some of them, for example, I think this one, let me see if I can find one of them. Some of them, sometimes you will find that they have been created and are in the process of being cataloged. For example, this one has been created, already cataloged, and you can already download the results. Depending on the results, you will do just a plain download, or it can be an image that you can put on a GIS on a GIS solution and look at it. For example, in this case, this is what I was explaining. What happens when the order is being processed and hasn't been delivered yet. When it is delivered, everything is in my orders place for you, and then you can take a look at it and get your results. Like I said before, the quotation is going to be available quite quickly, automatically, and we want to make sure that everything works fine, that the validation runs automatically smoothly, that everything is okay. And as we roll out in general availability, we believe that the automated paying process will be available by the end of the year once we make sure that everything runs smoothly and correctly. Many things will happen in the future, automated subscriptions, bundling of services, volume discounts, more and more functionality. And for that, we believe that you are a very, very important piece of information that we believe that we can develop a much better version of this online store with your help, so that anytime that you pass by, if you want to play around, place an order, please do not hesitate to get in touch for suggestions for improvement that we are looking forward to hear from you and implement in the online store. This is all from myself. I think that it would be very valuable to listen to Jim's testimonial on how to apply this technology in real life. So we will listen to Jim and what he has to say. Thank you very much and see you soon.
Thanks, David. I'll take over from the screen share. And indeed, as you said, we are now going to listen for the presentation of Jim Wilson from Soil Essentials. So Jim is using a service that was showcased by David. So the CropSAR, FAPAR, and another one, the crop classification, and introducing it into its own products. And that's exactly the scope of his presentation. Let me give the control to you, Jim.
Thank
Please
you.
feel free to start.
I should be.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Nuno. Thanks, David. So I want to give you a little bit of an overview of who we are as Soil Essentials and the data platform we use, the platform we built. Show you some of the example NextLand data use, shows the crop classification, sentinel-2 imagery and CropSAR, and then walk you through a practical use case of how we use those three data inputs to produce a soil carbon flux estimation, and then a summary. So that's a plan of what I'm going to talk to you about. And if it moves forward one. Okay, introduction to Soil Essentials, there we go. So who are we? We're Soil Essentials is a precision ag a small business based in Scotland, but working over a wide area across Europe and indeed the rest of the world. I suppose we are slightly different, and we're coming from the different end of the technology spectrum. We're very much farmers, still practical farmers, but in 2000 we launched Soil Essentials as a precision ag service provider, and now there's around about 30 of us, from agronomists, engineers, programmers, GIS specialists, working to supply precision ag goods and services to companies and direct to farmers. So we're slightly unusual in that there's not many precision ag companies out there who've been going for this length of time. So we've got a very big range of experience in different growing conditions and agronomy concepts. The three divisions are precision agronomy, where we do a lot of physically go out into the field, take some soil samples. Nowadays, the soil sampling is certainly focused around about soil chemistry and soil texture, but also soil carbon, soil health monitoring is becoming increasingly important because of the focus on the move towards net zero. And indeed, we supply quite a few services to several soil carbon companies. And this is the basis of really what the reason why we've developed this soil carbon flux measurement tool that I'm going to show you a bit about. We also build our own software in-house to allow the easy delivery of these models and other precision ag services to our customers. And we also supply various hardwares that, that we fit onto tractors, sprayers, spreaders, and to support precision ag using the variable rate maps that we display and develop in the other two divisions. So a very brief word about the core platform to put some context into it. So what we supply is, to a customer, we take the core platform, which is a web-based precision ag platform with a range of tools in that platform. And it's a white box service, so we change the URL, change the colors, logos, the languages, and if necessary, build specific applications tailored to company needs. The idea is to make it useful to exactly what each company needs, and tailor it to the market sector that company uses. And that's why we're so interested in pulling in data from NextLand, running the model on it, and then supplying the output of that model to, for example, a carbon company that fills a gap in their product line. So we do this with lots of different data sets. So as farmers, we're very keen that we should take the input data, satellite data, drone, yield maps, data from mobile apps, the weather data, and these are all really useful, but as farmers, they're not directly valuable. It's absolutely key that we can take the input data, transform it through a series of models or inputs and give advice. We as farmers and a precision ag company turn advice into money, because if we're predicting yield, we know how much to sell. If we're looking at soil moisture maps, we know how much to irrigate. If we count plants, we know that if our planting rates are correct. If we're looking for variable rate maps, then we were putting the right amount of seeds and fertilizers on in the right place at the right time. So this was to really emphasize that the purpose of NextLand, and indeed the models that we're building on top of NextLand data, is to take the raw data from various different sensors, slice and dice it, and produce something that adds value to the company and the farmer. So what NextLand data sets do we use? Well, first thing is, if we're one of the key things is that we've got to know what crop is in which field in which year. Those of you who deal with agronomy and agronomy companies, and indeed farmers, know how difficult it is to get reliable information cheaply and quickly from farmers. So one of the key inputs that we use is knowing which crop is in which field in which year. So using the NextLand crop classification models, we can go back 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and the crop classification models will tell us what is the likely crop type in each field in each of those years. It's very useful. Of course, nothing's perfect. We found it to be really pretty accurate certainly on all the common crop types. We're very confident that these are working pretty well. But it's also very comforting to know that we are getting a confidence number back as well. For example, here, these 3 crops here, where the numbers coming back from NextLand is a confidence of 1, which is completely confident that that's actually rapeseed canola, as you might know it. So it's really useful to be able to know what crop types have been in that field in previous, and how confident we are that they are correct. So that's the first that's the first data set that we use. The next data set it's key to use Sentinel-2 imagery. Now, Sentinel-2 imagery has been around for a while, and we found it to be, in general, very good quality data set. Unfortunately, it's also at the moment it's also very prone to cloud problems, and one of the the services that NextLand provides is to produce, for example, NDVI or other vegetation indexes, but only deliver the ones that are almost guaranteed to be cloud free. So we don't have to worry too much about trying to select the images that have got cloud occlusions in them or cloud shadows. Because that can be a very manual job, and it takes up a lot of time and adds cost. So if we can be fairly sure that we can build a set of models based on cloud-free satellite imagery, then it saves a lot of effort from our point of view. The third one is that, as David mentioned, is the crop SAR. Now, as we said, crop SAR, cloud is one of the big problems that we've always had from satellite imagery, and the ability to use SAR imagery to see through clouds and to give us a daily time series of crop canopy. And this is, in this case, this is PAR, photosynthetic active radiation. So an estimate of crop canopy over a long time series is hugely useful to allow us to predict crop canopy cover across a wide range of time, from, in this case, from 2017 up to 2021. Again, it's also useful to get, you can see that we're also getting a confidence interval there, so we can reach, so that if the results we're getting aren't what we think should be correct, we can actually drill down and see whether or not, or why we think that the errors are in place, and that's really useful as well. So 3 unique data sets there, and how do we use them? Well, the example that I'm showing today is that we're running a high resolution, so every 15 meters across the field, soil, carbon and water, and nitrogen model. And what the fundamental inputs are, our concept is that the productivity, the yield, the dry matter generation of crops is mostly driven by how much light a canopy can intercept, and then that light is then, the PAR effectively is then converted into dry matter and partitioned into different parts of the growing plant. So if we can model the process spatially across the field at high resolution, but also over time, we can make a very good estimate of the crop yield, the dry matter, the water, the biomass, the nitrogen, and the carbon fluxes that is going on across those fields, across those timescales. Of course, we need to validate the results, and being precision ag people, we have all sorts of tools to do that, from yield monitors to farmer estimates of yields. And we need to then discuss why those changes are there, and do they make sense, and what is the main drivers of those things, and what we can do about them, of course. So the process that this takes place is moving from left to right. We have a series of steps, process steps here, where we first have to identify the field, get the weather data, assign the crops to the field, and so on. And then we run the actual carbon model, spatial carbon model. But the key parts to this, which we talked about earlier, was we need crop type here. We need to know the crop type in the field so that we can apply the correct light interception model and partition model to that particular crop in that particular field in that particular year. We need to get an estimate of the spatial variability in that field in that year. We need to get cloud-free satellite imagery, which is this part, and of course to get to calculate average canopy cover. The crop SAR is essential. So those are the 3 parts that we talked about earlier, and where they stand in the whole process flow of calculating soil carbon and nitrogen. And you can see they are fundamental to what we're trying to do. What we get out for every 15 meter 15 grid square is an estimate of soil carbon and nitrogen and change over time In this case, it's a long time series from around about 2015 to 2020. We've got a range of different crops sown at different times, an estimate of total dry matter produced. Some of that dry matter is removed in harvest. Some of that then is then put back into the soil as straw, replaced back in. Some is left as roots. And then over time, we can see that in this particular area, we've gained, this particular zone has produced around about just shy of 80 tons per hectare of dry matter. But some of that dry matter has been removed as grain as well. And then rolling that over over, let's say, the 5 years, you can calculate whether or not you're building soil carbon or losing soil carbon into soil organic matter. And this is a farm in the southeast of England showing the gain or loss of soil organic matter into bands of 5 tons per hectare. And there are some areas of the field, the red areas, that that farm has lost more than 5 tons per hectare of soil carbon over that time scale. However, other parts of even the same fields, they've actually gained a lot. The actual input of soil carbon has been greater than the loss, and that's a good result and is very useful when you're taking soil carbon samples and calculating carbon offtakes and trying to get to, and when we're heading towards net zero. So as a summary, what we've found with the NextLand data services is that it's through the API. The API is flexible and easy to use. We're trying to do a lot of this at scale, so it's important to have an automated method of doing this. There is a range of products, as you saw earlier. There's a range of products that are available, and we find it straightforward to take the products. We can't do everything, so we find it straightforward to take the products that we need and to slot them into the places in the models or the processes that we've built in order to speed up the development of new models and processes. It's really important when you're in a commercial situation. It's really important to get to work with people who are reliable and who can give you proper support. I think it's really, and there's 2 parts to support, of course. There's the actual store builder. So if something doesn't run, you have to be able to, fix that. Someone has to fix that and get it to you because the customers are asking for it. But it's also, these data products are really pretty complicated, and it's important that you fully understand how those data products are built to some extent, and how they can be used, and their limitations, where you should be using them and where you shouldn't be using them. And the data generation experts you can get access to through the NextLand data platform are invaluable to give you that advice. And with that, I'll just say thank you very much, and I'll pass you back to Nuno.
Thanks, Jim. So final poll. We are now want to understand if you're interested to connect with NextLand. So the final poll is all about that, and it's already open. So feel free to answer. So in the meantime, I was looking into the Q&A, and there's no questions there. Let me check on the chat if you have anything. Yeah, so far no questions. We'll keep the poll open. We're a bit over the time limit, but we want to stick around and talk with you and have some questions flowing in our way. So you had like a really good overview of the online store, the services, how you can go from buying a service to using that service with a use case provided by Jim. It's important for you to understand that we not only the interface that was showcased by David is available, but also an API where you could more rapidly do service requests to the online store and integrate with your operational platform. We have several users doing that as we speak. So hopefully, if you're interested in that use case, you don't need to be using the GUI, please feel free to contact us, and we'll give you access to the API so that you can just do your service requests. Also important is the capability, and that's something that's important for both customers and service providers. The capability to bundle gives an added value if you have a service in NextLand, because of course a customer might be interested in your service, but it might be also interested in other services that build into a support irrigation bundle. And so this capability to bundle your services with other service providers is very important to add value to your services. And for a customer, it's crucial because it better fits your use case. As you could see from Jim's use case, he was looking for more than one product. So if those are already bundled and they have a price related with that bundle, that's more useful for a customer. I was checking to see the Q&A, or the chat. Yeah, I think we don't have any questions. Any other questions? You have in the online store, and David shared with you the link for the online store, a way to contact us via the contact form. Please use it. Feel free to contact us. We are here. We are available, not only for service requests, but also for general questions related with the services in the online store. Please do contact us. The poll, I think, is already, yeah, it's closed already. And we say goodbye. We have in the 22nd of November, and now we have 2 other webinars coming the next weeks. First, on 22nd of November, we'll have a session devoted to forestry. So basically, we'll be looking into forestry services and forestry use cases within the online store. So that's especially for people that are interested more in forestry. And finally, on the 29th of November, the same type of session, but for agriculture. You'll be able to register. Let me see. You'll be able to register to that webinar, and you can also if you want to know more, contact us via the online store, the social media channels, or subscribe to our newsletter. So thanks again for participating, and I'll stop sharing. I hope that you can join us in other upcoming webinars, and you keep in touch, because this is only the start. This is only to kickstart things, and we'll be around for a long time. Okay, thanks so much.